Everybody, and welcome back to the Always in Season podcast. I'm your host, James Golding. Today, I am joined by the lovely Verna Gow, also known as Hungry Banana. Verna, how are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on the show, really.
It's absolutely lovely to see you again. Obviously, the last time I saw you, we were in Montreal.
Yeah, we were. Oh my God, I know, it's crazy. Time has flown.
I know. Well, actually, I saw you at Claridge's, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that was all a bit of a blur. That was a bit of a blur that
That was
night.
very brief.
Did you have a good time there?
That was so fun.
It was
Like, I've never been in like an award show. That was really fun. Yeah,
it
loved
was
it.
fantastic. So, obviously, this is the first time you've been on the show, and we've had all this amazing experience together. But I think it's really important to start from the beginning. So, could you tell us a little bit? I mean, I know you're born in Shanghai.
Yes.
You moved to London in 2003.
Yes.
And ever since then, you've gone from there to, I think you were a dumpling. You got a job at a dumpling restaurant. And
Yeah, I did.
but you know, for our listeners and our watchers, please could you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I'll try and keep it nice and short. I mean, I yap away for a long time. So yeah, I was born in Shanghai. I moved when I was 9 with my family, and then I guess I just lived a pretty normal life. And then I got to uni, and I decided that I wanted to teach people how to make Chinese food because I saw some of their atrocious takeaways that they were getting. And then I realized that that was something that people liked seeing and learning. So that was all good. And then as time went on, I just got more and more into like home cooking, especially when COVID came around. I just kind of found my stride. I did the dumpling thing just before COVID, so I met a lot of people who worked in food.
Yeah.
And I just started sharing recipes online. I guess it was just things that I like to cook. Everything I make normally is like things that I would make myself. So I always find it to be quite nice to share exactly what I enjoy with others. And it seems like people have enjoyed it so far and people like to make the recipes. So it's really nice and rewarding, I guess. And then, so as time went on, I just decided to do it as a full-time thing. I quit my full-time job, and then I just ended up in this world of, I guess, creating recipes and sharing culture with people. And it's been really nice. So it's been a dream, really.
That's amazing. And actually, the one thing that I remember the most out when we were in Montreal, apart from learning all about maple syrup, obviously,
Of course.
one of the things I remember was when we went into Montreal. Do you remember? We were walking through the streets and we came across that noodle restaurant. I mean, that was amazing. They were pulling the noodles in the front of the window.
Exactly.
And obviously, I could see that you got excited about that, and I could see the look on your face as we were saying, like, should we go in there for lunch? But and it was amazing, wasn't it? I mean, there's literally like 3 dishes, but all with different noodles that they were putting into it.
Yes.
And the food I thought was absolutely stunning. But I suppose the question is that obviously excites you, but is it great to see all these sort of we're talking about authentic dishes, seeing something like that in the centre of Montreal being executed so well? Is that something which you get a lot of enjoyment from?
Yeah, for sure. Like when I was growing up, it wasn't as big of a thing. I guess like handmade noodles. I think Chinese food was regarded as more of like a takeaway situation.
Yeah.
But now, like, it's gone so far from that. It's so much more than just getting a takeaway on your Friday night.
Yeah.
It's people are actually going out to eat handmade noodles. I even found a good spot in Leeds actually yesterday.
Oh, really?
Like, sorry, not Leeds, Birmingham.
Okay.
Birmingham. But honestly, like it's really great to see kind of how far it's come, and you can really get authentic stuff out of just the I guess the predictable spots in London. You can really find really nice, cool spots now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I think looking at your Instagram, if you haven't checked out Verna's Instagram, you need to check it out. By the way, it's absolutely insane. I mean, you spend a lot of time making those incredible reels and incredible videos.
Thank you.
With your whole sort of lifestyle, you do a lot of traveling as well, don't you? I mean, every time I check your Instagram, you're somewhere else. I mean, last time I think when we were coming back from Montreal, you were on your way to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Something like that. So,
That did.
so how do you balance your sort of lifestyle? With all the stuff you're doing on the food element and then the travel. Is that something which is a challenge?
It can be for sure. I think obviously it looks really glamorous, it looks super fun, but it's quite a burnout situation a lot of the time. It's very much you have to have self-discipline, I think, to kind of say no to things. It's very easy to just get swept up in it and then say yes to everything, and then before you know it, you're like sleep deprived. But I think it's like part of the fun, which is you get to enjoy it, but also you get to kind of do it as part of work, which is also really rewarding. Like for me, I love sharing like travel stories and the spots I found, especially the stuff that you don't see on mainstream, TikTok and Instagram. So it's stuff that I guess you wouldn't expect to see on social media, but you'd also find it to be really valuable. Like I personally love seeing content that's a bit like that. So I've tried to do that as well so that I can bring people maybe a bit more than just like a viral video or like a viral spot that you've seen 10 times already, I guess. So yeah.
So what's your top tip then to sleeping on a plane? Because I don't think I have any. None of mine work. I tried sleeping on the way back from Montreal and I seem to be able to get about half an hour, I think, tops.
I feel like I just try to be really tired the night before.
Just don't sleep.
Yeah, and you know what? I've done that a few times. And
Really?
it does kind of work. I just get really, really tired. And actually to the point where I'll be sitting on the runway waiting for the flight to take off.
Right.
And I will have fallen asleep. So that's how tired I am.
So sleep deprivation, everybody. You've heard it here first. That's
Just
the
work
top
really
tip.
hard.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
so obviously we went out, we learned about maple. How would you factor maple into your dishes? I mean, obviously today you're here cooking dishes to put on the site, and really we're developing lots of fun stuff here today. What would you say, how would you use it in your style of cooking?
So I personally love sweet and savory as a combination anyway. So it's always been quite easy to kind of substitute that sweet flavor with maple because it goes so well with so many things.
Yeah.
You can have different grades as well. So it really comes in different intensities. So it doesn't really take over the dish if you don't want it to. For me, like I love kind of the golden or the amber one because it's just so versatile. And then I'll add it to kind of like a bacon dish, a pork dish. You can also add it to, replace brown sugar. Personally for me, like I always found the texture of like maple syrup to be really good. It's super glossy. It kind of just helps make everything a little bit more visual. And I eat with my eyes anyway.
Yeah.
So it always kind of helps. And also the bottle just looks so nice.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's like with maple leaf shape, and it has like all the designs of it. Like I actually have saved some of the bottles as little like small vases.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like afterwards it just looks really nice as a little centerpiece on the table.
Right.
I don't know, I just appreciate little details like that. Yeah.
The arts. Someone's put a lot of thought into that.
Exactly.
I mean,
Like
lovely,
someone
isn't it?
really worked on that.
Yeah.
And I just want to appreciate it.
You know what you're saying about the whole sort of sweet and savory thing, right? The one of the things I remember the most is when you remember we went to that shack and they were cooking the bacon.
Yes.
And then they put that chili on it, and then they put the
was
maple
so good.
butter. I mean, yeah, I've got high cholesterol now, Verna, because of I had about 16 pieces. I think we were only supposed to have one each,
I did.
but it was that.
I couldn't
that
help
was,
myself. It was so good.
So when we had Dean Edwards here the other week, we were talking about that, and my mouth instantly started salivating.
No,
on the
I'm
thought.
salivating right now.
Honestly, it was the best thing. I think
genuine.
someone needs to open up a little food truck with that. I mean, it's one of the best things I think I've
But
tasted.
it's so easy as well. It's just like barbecued slices of pork, right? And then you just brush it all over and it just melts and it just does its thing.
So you got salt, spice, and sweet. I mean, that's probably the basis of a lot of cookery, right?
You got that. Oh, amazing, honestly.
So in 2023, you debuted your cookbook.
Yeah.
Have you eaten?
Yeah. Have you eaten?
I have actually. I've had quite a lovely lunch. Thank you very much. I've had a little bit of tofu with a nice maple glaze. It was very, very nice. So what was it like writing a book? How was that for you? Was it something that you found as an easy process, or was it challenging? How did you find it?
It was a combination of both, I will say. Easy because I knew so many recipes I wanted to kind of share with everybody, especially in a very proper, authentic way. It was hard because I never measure. So when you ask your mom, like, how did you make this? She'd be like, oh, a little bit of tomato paste. You'd be like, how much? But that was kind of how I cooked. So it was quite difficult to start measuring. It was almost going backwards because I normally just kind of cook. I don't want to say it's really cheesy, but like cook with your soul.
Yeah.
So I always joke that, my ancestors are like, that's enough soy sauce, like stop.
Right.
But I had to obviously start measuring and then start tweaking like very precisely, which I think that part is quite difficult to get used to because if you're used to just improvising, which a lot of good chefs are, I'm sure you are the same, you end up just kind of going and then after having to remake the same dish the same way, it can be a little bit difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
So sometimes in that instant, you were just like making up the most magical thing, and then people were like, "What's the recipe?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So yeah, having to do that and then testing it to make sure that it's like fail proof, or foolproof. fail safe, sorry.
Yeah, either.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
quite difficult in that sense, but otherwise, I really enjoyed it. It was so fun kind of telling the stories around certain dishes, especially with Asian cuisines. There are loads of anecdotes. There are also really fun history facts about, where the name came from, where the dish came from, or how this dish came to be the way it is. So I really love that part. And also, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to food. So I like learning about, where this ingredient came from or like how this combination became a thing. So yeah, I found that part to be probably the easiest part just because I got so lost in the writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the measuring that like completely killed me. Yeah.
It always is. And then someone's testing it for you, isn't it? Or you're testing it yourself,
Yeah.
and then you realise that
And I'm
something's
like,
not quite
please,
right.
please,
Like,
please
yeah.
be okay.
I mean, so when you were growing up, did you cook a lot with your parents? Or are there dishes in there that you found inspiration from that,
Yeah.
of your favourite? What would you say were the dishes that really sort of meant that, that held a special place in your heart?
So actually, I don't know if you or if I've ever said this actually. The book is organized by kind of timeline of my life.
Wow.
So actually the first couple of chapters, they're aligned to when I lived in Asia, because obviously I was born, in China and I lived there till I was 9.
Yeah.
So the first chapter and the second chapter related to the food that I grew up with. So yes, coming back to your question,
Yeah.
there are loads of recipes that kind of just bring me back to my childhood because there were things that my grandparents made. There were things that my mum would make me when, let's say there's a dish in there. It's like a creamy peanut noodles with cucumber. And it's just like the epitome of summer or hot summer, let's say. Very, really humid hot summers in Shanghai where I wouldn't eat anything.
Right.
But my mum would kind of whip me up this cold noodle dish with this creamy dressing. And it was like really refreshing, but it wasn't too heavy and I'll eat it. And every time I eat it, it kind of reminds me of that. And the same thing for like a smacked cucumber salad. I hated cucumbers. It just doesn't taste of anything. But my grandparents knew that like if they whacked in a bit of, like chili oil, vinegar, it would get me eating it because it was kind of like appetizing. Aside from just the cucumber taste.
Right.
So like a lot of that stuff stuck with me.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to kind of share that with other people as well.
Mhm. You know what? So the thing I used to buy when I was a kid, right? We used to go into town and we used to get like a fruit and veg stall, and my dad used to say to me, "Right, go and buy a piece of fruit." I was always a weird one in the family that would buy half a cucumber. I'd eat it walking down the street. Dad, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. And literally, I used to eat this cucumber, and everybody said, "Well, it doesn't taste bad." But it's weird. I think back in the day, cucumbers tasted very different to what they taste
Yeah,
like
that
now.
is true.
Right?
That is true. Yeah.
But when you used to eat a cucumber, I mean, I'm not that old. I mean, I'm in my 40s, but it's one of those sort of things that you used to get like a little bit of saltiness. Now I buy a cucumber, and it doesn't taste of anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And I suppose it's probably only been the past 5 years that I've noticed that people are adding stuff to cucumber. It's quite interesting. I wonder if there's a farmer out there that could tell us if they're growing them
Yeah.
slightly differently or whatever. I
I
don't
think like if it's sun ripened, obviously it tastes great. Like
Yeah.
my grandma used to grow some really nice cucumbers.
Yeah.
So like that would kind of be a little game changer for me. But these days it's like if you don't grow your own vegetables, I feel like you don't appreciate it as much.
Yeah.
Because it just tastes so different when
do.
if you've grown your own tomatoes, it's delicious.
100%, 100%. So there's been a lot of buzz recently about sweet and spicy recipes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So besides the recipes that we discussed, obviously we spoke about the tofu and
Yeah.
the pork and all that. What would you recommend as like a sweet and spicy recipe? And how would you use maple in that as a sort of component to a dish? Because
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people now that are getting into these sort of recipes. And what would be your advice on making those sort of dishes?
I think because there are so many different versions or ways to kind of spice up a dish, it really is about trying what your favorite way is. Similar to adding how much maple syrup you want, right? So everyone has a different preference in terms of sweetness. So then you kind of want to measure and you kind of want to go along with it.
Mm.
With spice, there are so many different chili paste and different, chili peppers essentially.
Yeah.
And the texture would change as well. So in my opinion, it's always nice to start with a milder one and just kind of build it up. It's nice to always build it up instead of having to, to recover from too much spice.
The pint of milk on the side. Yeah.
I don't think milk works. I think yogurt works better.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah, the milk trick never works for me.
No.
But
So you said ice cream once. Ice cream apparently works quite well.
I think that's
Really?
they like ice cream.
So people just wanted ice. Because if family running off to get ice cream because it was too spicy. Sorry.
Yeah. But I think the sugar or the sweetness, let's say, the sweetness in maple syrup will definitely cut through a lot of the spiciness. And with a bit of lime as well, I actually think. When something gets a bit too spicy and maybe, if you've got too much spice and too much sweetness, then you want to add a little bit of acidity. It kind of cuts through everything. It just mellows everything out. Like I really like adding lime or just some citrus into any of my sweet and spicy dishes. Actually,
Right.
it just kind of works. I don't know what the science is,
Yeah.
but it does.
It's hot and
Talk-
sizzling. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so obviously let's talk a bit about your Instagram account. So Verna Hungry Banana. I mean, you're taking the world by storm, as a creator. I think, it's absolutely amazing what you're doing with all your all of your posts and reels and that. But for people that don't understand what goes into it, because I remember in Canada we spoke with you, me, Dean, Alice. So I mean, obviously you guys have a much bigger following than I do, but it was quite interesting to hear everybody's different sort
Yeah.
of take on the world of social media. And I think we were standing in the bar at one point, and Dean's changing the settings on my camera because apparently I didn't have it set to the right sort of settings. But how would you come up with your ideas, and what's it sort of involve? I mean, you don't have to go into too much depth, but give any secrets away. But I know that you take it very seriously, and how does that sort of work for you?
So I actually think there are no tips. And the reason I say that is because I feel like if you start giving people tips and ideas, then you start being authentic. Because I think the key to, having a good account is actually authenticity. Because I think people can see through whatever you're trying to achieve. If it's not authentic, people can see you're just, you're trying to be something. So in my opinion, it's always really good to go with what you like doing. And for me, I like documenting a little bit more about my culture, about my life, a bit more relatable stuff where people can kind of see, oh, I can see myself doing that. I can see myself going there.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's what I try to go back to at the end of the day. Obviously, there will be days where you want to make something a bit more, let's say, quote unquote, viral versus more, niche. And I think sometimes striking a balance is probably the difficult part. But again, going back to authenticity, like what do you want to do? Because, I could make these viral bakes, let's say, like really cool. Let's say if it's Easter, I could do a cool bake, but I don't do baking. So
No.
it wouldn't make any sense for
Leave
me
that
to
to Alice.
Exactly. So it's kind of, it doesn't make any sense for me to start, changing up my formula
Sure.
for the sake of getting more views. Because I think people could see through that and they'll be like, if that's what they were following me for, let's say the viral content, they would be following me for that. But I think most of the people that have stuck around for so long have enjoyed just the normal day-to-day stuff. And I think actually the day-to-day stuff really connects with people more because they can then, try the recipes themselves and they'll comment and be like, oh my God, I tried that. My family loved it. Like that sort of stuff really makes me very happy. And I think for a lot of people, I guess the community stuff actually makes them really enjoy what they're doing. Obviously, it's cool to have followers and stuff, but it means nothing if your followers aren't really engaging with what you're doing, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So posts that's had the most success?
Ooh, do you know what? I think it's always been dumplings and noodles.
Yeah.
I think
Which is
again,
quite fitting, really.
yeah,
Like, because I mean, your first job was dumpling restaurant.
exactly. I think it's just obviously people love the intricacy of how a dumpling is pleated. They also love learning about it because there are so many different ways of cooking and eating and enjoying a dumpling. I love talking about dumplings, as you can tell. How many times have I said dumpling already?
Don't worry, mate.
Not enough.
It's fine. It's not enough.
But
Not enough.
yeah, with noodles, the same. Like if I make, I guess handmade noodles, or if it's a quick noodle recipe, people love it because they obviously can see themselves making it. Recently, I did the dumpling recipe, and so many people loved it, and they actually made it, and they came and sent me photos. So I think obviously that sort of, it's not even that unique anymore, but it's just stuff that you wouldn't think that you could do yourself. But then once you try yourself, you're like, actually, it's not that hard. That stuff goes really viral because then they start sharing with their friends, their families, and their community, and it just kind of grows from that.
Yeah, amazing. So, restaurant reviews have been a big part of what you've been doing.
Yes.
So favorite restaurant so far, and why?
That is so hard.
I know. I get asked questions like this, and I go, "Why? Why did you ask me this?" But
Like the
I
meaning
think
of life.
I know. Yeah, but
Okay, I think so. One restaurant that I've always gone to, like over the years, and it still exists, which I think is a big deal actually in London, because a lot of restaurants don't exist.
sure.
One of my favorite is this Vietnamese restaurant that is called Catering, or like Caytre. It's in Soho and Old Street, and it's always been there. I used to go there when I was a uni student. It was always really affordable. It still is.
Yeah.
And the reviews aren't that great, let's say, but I always think that the Asian restaurants with slightly less positive reviews are probably really good at delivering good food because, like a lot of people mark them down from bad service, but I'm just there to enjoy the good food. Not gonna lie. I'm there to get my good grub, and so that place I love because it's really, budget friendly. It's also in the central area, and it's always been consistently really, really good. So I love that. I also really like duck and waffle. I'm not
I
gonna
love that. Yeah.
and
I mean, just the view.
it's got maple.
You know,
It's got
yeah.
syrup with the sweet and
Yeah.
savory. You see, like sweet, savory, and the texture of the waffle just goes really well. I don't know, for some reason I just really like that one dish. I mean,
Yeah.
it's called duck and waffle for a reason.
I know.
So,
I know. I know.
and yes, the view.
I mean, just that elevator
Yeah.
trip to the top is. I mean,
Worth it.
I think that's every single time I get in that lift, I just put a video on my phone.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
great, so much
And
fun.
I'm sure it's open all night, right? That's what.
Yeah, 24
told me.
hours. 24 hours. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
So if you're out,
Yeah. Well, actually, so years ago, when my son turned, I think 10 or something like that, I phoned up the executive head chef at the time, Dan, and I said, "Do you do like anything to do? Could you do like non-alcoholic cocktails or like
yeah.
a little kids thing? Because I want to bring a good." And they absolutely bent over backwards, and they did us like a 10-year-old birthday party for kids. I mean, there was people in there probably spending a lot of money, that have
Like,
probably waited. And I turn up with like 5, 10-year-olds going, "Come on, let's get some cocktails, and we'll get."
duck and
Well,
waffle.
yeah, but it was a
It
fantastic
was
trip.
so good. I like
Yeah.
every single person I brought there.
Yeah.
I always make sure that they get duck and waffle. One time I brought a group of my colleagues, like back in the day when I used to work in the office. There was 8 of us, and every single one of us, we just got like 8 duck and waffle,
Yeah.
and everyone just sat there in silence eating. And I was like, that's when you know it's good because no one's talking.
And that private room, it was in the private room.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, it's not an advert on Duck and Waffle. It's probably.
But it's a really good menu.
Yeah,
Like,
it
going
is.
back to
Yeah,
my favorite
yeah.
restaurant. It's one of my favorites, I think.
So you recently been on Channel 4 Served.
Yes.
Let's tell us a little. How did that come about, and how are you finding that?
Yeah, that was so random.
Yeah.
But I think I guess it's part of the quote unquote portfolio of being on
Right.
social media because
Yeah.
you always put your work out. And I've been putting myself more in the videos and kind of getting more of my personality and like chatting through my videos, etc. I guess the team just saw and they were like, "We'd love to have you as one of our chef presenters."
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I was obviously like, "Yes, duh! Like, why would I
Yeah,
not?"
yeah.
But yeah, they're doing like a new social food channel. So me and 2 other home cooks, we're the presenters, and then 2 producers also kind of participate in that. And yeah, we just come up with new recipes or fun. So I'm doing a series called Bowl-ified where I'm turning essentially knife and fork dishes into bowl versions so you can eat on the sofa. So I've done some really interesting things. They're definitely not authentic. I will definitely not pass the authenticity test.
Right.
But I do think it's creative. So I've done, salmon en croûte, where I've turned into salmon non croûte.
Right.
So it's not wrapped up, but it's a little salmon en croûte. You're laughing. It's actually really good. I really
No,
like
I'm sorry.
And then deconstructed beef Wellington also really actually turned out really nice. All the elements, but just kind of with a cheaper cut of steak because obviously beef fillet is really expensive.
Yeah.
So I've done kind of like I combined a Chinese takeaway trick of tenderizing the meat with a budget cut of steak to kind of really tenderize it, but also keep it really tasty, really affordable. So essentially the point of that, I guess, is to make it more accessible to people to make all these dishes that normally you wouldn't make at home and then try to kind of enjoy that more. But it's kind of evolved now into just really fun bold dishes. So, like taco soup that's adapted from just normal tacos, but you can kind of enjoy it with like black beans and stuff. And then also some, spring rolls, but deconstructed. So there's spring roll salads. Just really, I guess like I quite like experimenting. So it's been nice to experiment for a purpose, I guess. And it's been really, really good.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So when you talk about tenderizing, do you mean like velveting or?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So having
Yeah, like the baking soda.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thanks, Ellen.
exactly.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, so I mean, I tried that recently. I was actually making biltong.
Oh yeah.
And I was using the maple sugar instead of brown sugar.
Okay. Yeah.
And some recipes said to the velveting method. Other people said don't do it. And I actually did it, and it was so good.
See,
Amazing.
I always recommend it
Yeah,
for so many people, especially if you have like a budget cut steak, because you can really turn it into really good stuff, right? That's how they get it so tender in Chinese restaurants.
Yeah.
So secrets out, guys.
Yeah. I was going to tell you a story actually. When I lived in America, I tried doing that with chicken, but I did the velveting method, but I also added pineapple juice, right?
Oh,
So it just as a bit of sweetness on the marinade. I didn't realize that the pineapple juice does exactly the same as the bacon powder did.
So
I
it's too much.
Literally put it out the fridge, Verna, and it was like a bag of. Anyway, so top tip:
Don't do that.
don't do that. Don't do that
One
at
or
all.
the other.
So obviously, you've got so much on. You're mega busy. You're jetting around the world. You're doing photo shoots here in Birmingham. You're doing all sorts of fun stuff. But what have you got coming up this year that you can share with us, apart from all the lovely stuff that we've spoken about already?
I'm doing a lot more travel stuff, so I want to do more kind of travel food segments because I love travel as well. Sorry, I mean I love traveling for food as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
I love kind of going to new cultures and just trying local dishes. I guess like stepping away from the typical stuff that you see on videos and doing a bit more like going into a restaurant with just locals and no English. Like that stuff I love because I think you get the best of like wherever you are. And work on a bit more of the content for that. Like I went to Colombia earlier in the year.
Amazing.
I'm working on some, fun, interesting content because I think, yeah, you see a lot of I guess aesthetic videos, but not so much the local stuff or what the food is like or what beyond kind of the classic, drone shots of a place like that.
Sure.
So for me, like personally, I love the fact that there was Caribbean food in Colombia, which I didn't know anything about. When I went there, I was like, oh, this is really nice. I actually want to recreate something similar. Went to Korea recently, learned so much about K barbecue and the different types of pork and the different panchans that you kind of serve with the barbecue. That stuff you don't really get in Asia, in London, let's say, or in the UK. But I think it's something that people can replicate very easily because they're just little pickles, right? You can serve your barbecue with different pickles. And the barbecue in, this side of the world is so different to Korean barbecues because, the way they serve it, the lettuce, the little kind of things to refresh the palate.
Yeah.
Like that stuff, in my opinion, is really interesting.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just why not step beyond kimchi?
Well, exactly. And I mean, Korean barbecue is all about thinly sliced, isn't it? It's about
exactly.
quick cooking, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Whereas over here, we think more about low and slow, or you take on that sort of American sort of style a little bit.
Yeah, it's more of a
unless
thing.
it's burning the sausages on one of those mini barbecues on the beach.
Like
but-
burn ends, whatever. Literally.
yeah. So top dish in Colombia. What did you have that you went? This is it. What was your?
Do you know what? Colombian food, I will say, everyone warned me it would be slightly disappointing because having gone from, Mexico to Colombia, Mexican food is insane. Colombian food is a little bit more rustic around the edges. It's a bit more basic in comparison. But again, like I said, I love the ceviche on the Caribbean area, so like Cartagena. It was amazing because there was so much influence in that area and there was a lot of like plantain, a lot of beans. So it was really vibrant and the dishes looked a lot more brighter and a bit more colorful. Again, I eat with my eyes, so I love when like a dish is so, I guess, eye-catching. They also have the I can't remember the name. It's like Bandeja Paisa, which is basically Colombian fry up, in my opinion. So it's got pork belly, like, which is, imagine that as a breakfast.
Yeah.
But pork belly, it's got beans, avocados, it's got plantain, it's got a bit of everything. Also, that was really cool. Arepas as well. I wouldn't say there was a top dish, but I really enjoyed trying the different bits because it was quite, interesting and very different from what we know so far about, I guess, South American food. Because, you know so much more about Peruvian food, about Brazilian food, not so much Colombian. So for me, I love that. And also, I had some dishes that tasted kind of Asian in the sense that I guess they use similar-ish cooking methods and ingredients. So yeah, that was great.
Yeah. I want to go to Argentina.
Oh,
That whole like the grill. I mean, honestly, I'm obsessed with that Parrilla grill and all that sort of.
Oh my God.
I mean, you just see what they're doing out there. I mean, if you like meat, everybody, you need to go and check out the barbecue. I mean, we're sitting there talking about Korean grill. We're talking about America. You don't know anything until you've been to Argentina to see the way that they.
Yeah, because we don't hear so much about it in this side of the world. Because obviously it's more in the Americas. So for me, it was so eye-opening because you just don't watch enough. There's not enough shows that kind of covers that side of the world, right? So
No, 100%. Who was that? That chef, the famous chef from Argentina, Francis.
I don't know names.
Amazing, honestly. Yeah. Anyway, they really know how to cook with fire out there. Absolutely. But Verna, it's been absolute pleasure chatting to you today, and it's so nice to be able to film here in the Liquid Kitchen. But thank you so much for talking to us today. To all of our listeners, thanks for joining us. Tune in next time. All of Verna's details and information, including where you can find a debut cookbook, will be in the show notes, so please do check those out. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do share with family and friends, and don't forget to subscribe to keep updated with all the latest episodes. Verna, everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks very much for joining us.